Petraglia that won the first Fairlanes title back in 1971. And now we have 5 challengers to that title competing here today in Baltimore, Maryland. Our leader looking for his 42nd career championship, Earl Anthony. In second place, Pete Couture, seeking his 5th PBA title. Third place belongs to Butch Soper, winner of this tournament in 1978. And in fourth place, Ray Shackelford, a local bowler from nearby Virginia, trying for his first PBA title. Finally, in fifth place, Art Trask, a 3-time winner in 1982, still seeking his first win in 1983. That's our field for today's Professional Bowlers Tour. And we always appreciate coming back to the friendly state of Maryland. We're live in the Baltimore area, about 22 minutes from downtown. Fairlanes Open. Fairlanes, a time-honored name in bowling establishments all over the country. And we have a time-honored name as our tournament leader here, the great Earl Anthony. And with Earl right now is a man who won a Fairlanes championship back in 1980. Let's right now go to my colleague Nelson Burton Jr. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. Earl Anthony has made 5 championship rounds in his last 7 tournament appearances. And last week he lost really a heartbreaking match. Earl, you're going for title number 42. How do you think that'll affect you in today's championship round?
Well, Bo, that might be part of the reason I'm here today. The fact that I lost last week to Tom Milton. He bowled very well in the clutch, and I'd like to have another pop at getting back even with my seconds.
Earl, you said not so much you like to win, but you just hate to lose. I guess that's the great impetus that keeps you on top. Now, today's championship round is going to be bowled on a really super scoring pair. I saw all 5 players average better than 230. What do you think will happen out there today under the pressure?
Well, I don't think the pressure will affect it so much as the fact that the lanes do change day to day. As you know, Bo, you bowled enough times on television that you know that anything can happen in the television pair. And even though the scores have been high up to this point, in practice, I noticed that very few of the guys got lined up and bowled really well. So I don't expect the scores to be extremely high.
Well, the big bucks will be on the line. Earl, good luck and congratulations if you happen to win. But we'll be back with 90 minutes to find out if Earl wins number 42.
The Professional Bowlers Tour, this ABC Sports exclusive, is sponsored by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Napa. When the name is Napa, the standard is quality. And by Jartran Truck Rental. And now back to Chris Schenkel.
And thank you, Kevin Kennedy. Here we are at Woodlawn Fairlanes in Maryland in our first match, a big one. Art Trask, 34 years old. He is on the right at 5'9", 175 pounds, going against 6 foot 1 inch Ray Shackelford. Shackelford, a non-winner, while Art Trask, at whom you're looking, in his 11-year professional career, he has won 3. Big winner last year. First shot. And in practice, Art Trask had really been finding the pocket on both the left and the right of this championship pair, so he's opened in perfect form and fashion. And now from Fredericksburg, Virginia, historic Fredericksburg, Ray Shackelford. Second year full-time, and looking for Bo that first win, which is always hard to get.
Hometown favorite, Chris. Let's see how he performs under the pressure.
And despite a crossover, and that brought a smile from the 34-year-old mountain. And there you see his vital statistics, 6'1", 195. Fredericksburg, Virginia. As I indicated, we're about 25 minutes from downtown Baltimore and about an hour from the White House. Hoping to double here. Shooting on the left lane of this championship pair. All but a 7-pin, and we really have a standing room only crowd in this establishment.
And here's the form of Ray Shackelford playing the medium inside line between the second and third arrow, opens his shoulder, rolls that ball around the 20th board or center board of the lane. Between the second and third arrow, gets an easy spare, the 7-pin, to stay even in the match.
Cross lane, and it's a spare. That brings Trask up. The winner of this first match will go against Butch Soper, and then Pete Couture, and then eventually an hour-and-a-half telecast in the championship game against our tournament leader, Earl Anthony. Here's Trask. And he, too, like Shackelford, a 7-pin coming on the right side. Let's watch that last shot in profile.
Art Trask 5-step delivery, just a classic style, upright. He really establishes his push away early. Good lock swing, cupped wrist. Slides perpendicular to that foul line. Look at that left foot. Good position, doesn't get a break. He needs a spare to stay even.
All even now in our first game. 14th week of our 16-week winter tour. Next week, Long Island, and then the Firestone Tournament of Champions. 5'9", compactly, 175 pounds. A golfer, when not bowling. It's his second championship round appearance of the year. 4-time runner-up with 3 titles. Appreciative applause here by this capacity crowd in a state that has duckpin bowling, and of course what we're seeing here, a lot of interest in the sport. Championship pair, look at that average, 247. High hit leaving the 610. It's either been high or crossing over.
The right-hand pair on this lane, 17 and 18, hooks much more than the left-hand pair lane, but the players have really liked this pair, Chris, because they can swing the ball wide, and the carry's been very good. Shackelford changing to a harder ball for the spare.
And is very quick once he gets set on the approach, moving to the line. A man who in St. Louis last year rolled 3 300 games and a 299. Pretty awesome.
Ties a record set by Dick Weber, and Billy Hardwick did it over in Japan. And Roy Buckley did it in a regional tournament. 3 300 games in a single PBA tournament.
One time ranked #1 in the state of Virginia as a bowler. Started when he was 21 years of age. And that time the high hit. That's all of them. For Ray Shackelford of Fredericksburg, Virginia. We're in our first match and a very close match. Trask leading by only 2. We'll be back after this. The halfway point of our very first match. Live coverage from the Woodlawn Fairlanes. And this is Art Trask, who's making his second appearance of the year in the finals. He finished 4th at the Quaker State Open. Take a 12-pin lead. Leading now by 12. And earlier we had Art Trask tell us about his error in calculating the position round last night. Listen to this.
Well, I'll tell you, they were the 3 easiest shots that I threw all week because I had made an error in calculation. I was bowling Charlie Tapp. He'd already finished the game. I thought he was shooting in the 240s and that I couldn't get enough even if I did strike out. As it turned out, he only shot 235. And I did need 3 strikes, but like I say, they were the easiest ones to throw because I didn't know I needed them.
These are the harder ones to throw after that double leaving the 6-pin. And Bo, as you said, sometimes if you can remain loose, that's when you bowl best.
Very true, Chris. Art came up in the 42nd game, the last frame. He thought he was out of the top 5. He just grabbed his ball, nice and relaxed and disciplined, and threw 3 strikes right in there. He walked around. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Here he was in the top 5. He didn't even know it.
So as he marks with a spare in the 5th frame, a chance today for the eventual winner, $18,000. The loser of this very first game that we're bringing you live from Maryland will get $4,500. The winner moving up, and in this case, the winner of this first game will go against Californian Butch Soper, Ray Shackelford. Very quick and somewhat jerky follow through. There is a 4-7 left on the right lane.
Shackelford got a high hit there as we watch his profile. He takes 3 steps before he hardly even moves the ball, and he has to muscle it through at the end. He's very strong upper body, gets the ball tucked in real well, but he just didn't give it any room at all on the right-hand lane. We said it hooks more, and yet you have to give it some room.
And covers the 4-7. When not on tour, he's a bowling instructor at the Princess Anne Bowling Center in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Former member of the Air Force. His wife, Susan. And they have one son named Shannon.
Shackelford asking for a re-rack as far as sons and daughters go. Art Trask's son is 9 years old today, Christopher, and daughter Amanda home watching as mother Melanie couldn't make it out for the championship round, but I'm sure they're home watching Art perform in the first game today in the Fairlanes Open, Chris.
Shackelford is very, very warm. Exactly what he needed. A powerful strike. Was at the halfway point of this first match. He was trailing by 11, so Trask is up, shooting in the 6th with a spare working. 11-pin lead. Fresno, California, his home.
Wife is a student at Fresno State University.
Leaving the 4-pin, this man who had a tremendous championship round record last year, 8 victories, only 2 losses. And the Quaker State and True Value Open winner last year in Peoria covers those 2 pins and marks with the spare, leading by 10 pins. Very close first match. Remember, our tournament leader is Earl Anthony.
One reason Art Trask has such a great championship round record is he doesn't beat himself. He's methodical and keeps the ball in play, has good power, but he doesn't overhook it, and is an excellent spare shooter. Right now in this match, he leads by 10, 7th frame.
Big strike for the man that won his 3rd tournament last year in the Cleveland Open. Art Trask is in the lead by 10 pins. We'll return with the rest of the match following its infinite variety and excitement.
Well, that bicycle race, Chris, 2,970 miles, quite an endurance. It'll be an interesting show.
I've entered you for next year.
Very good.
That bike race, of course, will be on Sunday. We'll be in it next year. Oh, he thought he had that one. Ran it out, nearly tripped over another ball return here on 19. And staying close, now he'll have to cover the 7-pin on the right lane.
Ray Shackelford is loosened up now. He was all over the place the first 5 frames. He threw a very confident, good shot in the 6th frame, got a strike, sent it wide in the 7th frame, trying to even the match, left the 7-pin. With this conversion, he'll only trail by 10 with 3 frames to go.
Big, powerful Ray Shackelford. Fredericksburg, Virginia. An area I went on maneuvers in the big war at AP Hill in a tank corps. Fun.
Well, Chris, you did your duty, and
oh, yes.
With you in there, I know we'd win. This is Shackelford's good lane. He'll finish here in the 10th. He trails by 10 pins here, 8th frame.
Doubtful at the line after the release. And the result is a 2-4-5. Now, from a head-on replay, watch this.
Watch where his foot slides. He ends up about 3 feet behind the foul line, much like the great Don Carter, but he doesn't stay down with the shot on that particular ball, and it slides by the head pin, the 2-4-5 spare. Shackelford stopped in the middle of his approach, Chris. The practice pair is very close, only 2 pairs to the right, and he was disturbed by a warm-up shot by Butch Soper, who will bowl in the next match.
And Butch feels badly about an ill-timed move on the approach. But let's hope now that Shackelford has collected himself. Okay, marking with a spare. That shows me a touch of class, Nelson.
Very good. He collected his thoughts, and sometimes that's even good, 2-4-5. He had to make that spare to make the championship round last night in the 10th frame. Had no trouble again today. Trask, 13-pin lead. Strike working can make that 23 with a hit here in the 8th frame.
It's on the right lane. No, leaving the 1-2-8.
Ball slides by, no lift at all. He expects some hook at this particular point. Ball didn't get any bite at all in the back end. Avoids the washout 1-2-8 spare. Try to go to the left side of the head pin, drive the 8 and or the ball in to the back pin.
Easily missed spare, covered by Trask, who is disappointed, but still has a 13-pin lead. And now he'll be shooting on the left side in the 9th frame. First game, winner to meet Butch Soper. Re-rack coming up now. Very little emotion shown by 34-year-old Art Trask. Just goes about his work, and he is a true professional. Been a member of the Professional Bowlers Association for 11 years. Good foundation shot. Well, what about his form?
Good position all the way through. 5-step delivery. Watch his shoulders and his left arm. Good push away. Establishes that early. Gets in a good pendulum. Watch that left shoulder balance the shot as he comes through right towards the target. Look at that arm go right to the target. He's in good shape.
High hit. We have a 9 wobbling and a 10.
Could have been the 7-9-10. Shackelford really needed a strike there to get himself in position to win this match. Leaves himself a very tough split right here in a crucial situation. He must make this to stay in the match. Ball go right between the 9 and the 10. You don't want to slide this one over. The ball fit in there and knock both pins over.
No. Came left. So at the 9th frame, a disastrous open.
See, Shackelford wants to get his ball between them and knock both pins over. The ball goes too much, knocks out the 9 pin, and doesn't convert the spare.
Living the 4-7. This his first championship round appearance of his career.
Just couldn't put it all together. The best race Shackelford can do is 182 with a spare here in the 10th and a strike in this fill ball on 11th frame. Art Trask would be in the 190s even if he opened.
Live Susan, equally disappointed, but this being his first on our live telecast, it won't be his last. And another 2-4-5 for Shackelford. And the crowd here appreciated his efforts throughout the week and getting into the televised finals as Art Trask will next meet Butch Soper. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message, after this ball. Trask, you can see, trying to finish something in his mind to be used against Butch Soper in the next match. Shackelford at a 179. We'll have Trask's final for you, but first, a message from one of our sponsors and station identification. And the finals of the Professional Bowlers Tour this week in the land of crab cakes and the second jewel of racing's Triple Crown. At Pimlico, the Preakness, but we're at the Woodlawn Fairlanes for the finals of this championship. And Art Trask, with 8 strikes, fired at 228 to Ray Shackelford's 179. And Trask now will go against 33-year-old Butch Soper of Newport Beach, California. Trask shooting first on the left lane. And a 245.
It's obvious that the left lane is much slicker or tighter than the right-hand lane, and the players prefer that. Soper, being the higher of the 2 finishers here above Trask in the 42-game qualifier, chose to finish on the left lane. And a player usually decides to finish on his best lane, so under the pressure in the 10th, he has his best shot and knows where to throw it.
Very consistent, Art Trask. 228 in the first victory, 8 strikes in Ray Shackelford's 179. Now, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 140 pounds, 33-year-old Butch Soper, 12-year veteran of the PBA with 1 victory. First shot. Leaving the 3-pin, and he was happy with it as the ball came up high.
Soper going for the outside line right next to the channel and starting the ball right up to the pocket, as you see the numbers on Butch Soper. 5'6", 140, pretty solidly built close to the ground. He's going for the outside line, Chris. He figures that he can out-carry the players, and that's the spot to shoot the big scores. When we said there was a 230 average on this pair during the week, that's where the players were playing, outside.
Beautiful sustained finish at the line always for Butch Soper, who has been in the championship round finals 12 times in his 12-year pro career. His TV record 11 and 11. Now with the spare up, he'll be shooting in the second frame, and if you just joined us, Soper's opponent, Art Trask, won the first match 228 to Ray Shackelford's 179. The winner of this game will go against Couture and then Earl Anthony. Found the key on the left side, Butch Soper.
You may have seen Art Trask kind of peering over Soper's shoulder as Soper was up on the approach. Trask was looking at the rack setup on the right-hand lane just to save time in case he needed a re-rack. It was no psych job. He was just checking out the pins.
A 4-7. So today our professionals are getting an opportunity to try their skill at covering spares.
Trask, as we said, never beats himself. He bowled a nice solid 228 the first game, kept the ball in play, stayed in the match, and performed in the 10th. Once again, he's right around the pocket, has an easy spare. The pins, 3-pound 4 and 5-ounce pins this week, which is not too tough for the pros to knock over if they can get the ball in the pocket. And a urethane finish on the lanes, both players using polyurethane bowling balls.
Bo, the Rolaids tip of the week that you host is a little different in type pins used, right?
Very much so, Chris. It's popular for duck pins still out here on the East Coast, and we give a little demonstration of what it's like for people who have never seen it before.
Art Trask, very smooth professional, getting his first strike, and Butch Soper asking for a re-rack, and of course gets it. Allowed 3.
Butch Soper playing the outside line. He'll go with more speed. When you play that extreme outside line, if the ball is hooking too much and going high, such as we've seen Soper do in the first frame, you don't adjust so much. You just throw it harder to make the ball set up. Let's watch what he does. He can take a 12-pin lead with another strike.
This pair averaged 223. Well, he broke up that split, leaving only the 7. Here's a profile replay of Butch.
Soper, 5-step delivery, uses all the approach to get enough momentum to get good speed on the ball. Watch how he's a little stiff-legged when he gets to the foul line. He keeps upright, keeps in good position right there, pulls up, gets a good solid lift, and Chris, he jumped to the inside line on that shot. He's jumping back and forth trying to figure out a way to hit this right-hand lane. Has an easy spare, the 7-pin.
Still 2 pins separating these two professionals. And Butch's career has netted him $187,000, grossed, I should say, with this year's earnings nearly $12,000. Chance today for 18 as he uses all of the approach. And a 4-pin.
Butch has a really good game plan. He's playing the outside line on the left-hand lane to get the angle of attack, and he knows the ball won't hook too much. He's tried the inside line and the right-hand lane. Chris, if he can get hot and get loose, he could really be tough today.
And there's still time in this second match. Now he'll be shooting in the 4th frame. Okay, maintaining his slim margin here in the second match. You're looking at Butch Soper, who is going against Art Trask, our first game winner. One Tournament of Champions in 2 weeks. Next week, the Long Island Open. This week, the Fairlanes Open. And Art Trask looking for his first win of 1983. Second time he's had an opportunity. The Quaker State Open. He tried, but finished 4th. Right now he's trailing by 1 pin, but he can take a 9-pin lead with a strike here in the 4th frame. Strike working.
Art Trask spreads that index finger on the bowling ball. Notice how it's spread out there in his delivery. Just wherever is comfortable for the fingers that are not in the ball.
Ten-pin on the right lane.
Trask just keeping the ball in play. We can see that the 6-pin here just lay down in the channel. If it was a solid 10, it had gone up here and around, but it just lays down. Watch it go down. Here comes the ball, not quite enough hook. There it goes down in the channel. You saw it try to bump up, but not to be.
Blew it. One of those costly errors, and coming in the 4th frame, now trailing by 13.
Trask, who tries to kill the ball cross lane, starts it down the center, gives it a little room, but for that lane hooking quite that much, it's obvious the ball's not going to make it. Gets a little too much hook, and it's not even close. 2 or 3 inches, Chris, is a big miss for a pro.
Now he'll have to rebound.
This is a key frame. Often when you have one bad frame, you come back with another bad shot.
All right. Missing the 10-pin, back with a strike on the left lane for Trask. With a spare up, now shooting in the 5th. Our leader in the second match, Butch Soper.
See how Soper goes after the right-hand lane. He tried one from the outside line in the 1st frame, then he went the inside lane in the 3rd.
4-pin disappointed Soper.
He's closing in on it, though. He moved inside in the 3rd frame and moved too deep, and he didn't quite get up to the pocket, left the 7-pin, made the adjustment on the approach that time, and hit a little high. He's only a half a board away from solid in the pocket.
Butch is way ahead of last year's earnings of not quite 15. Earned nearly 12, and he's going to get a good check today. Fans here applauding every shot. They're amazing. He'll be shooting now in the 6th frame of the second game, and for those of you that joined us late, we hope you didn't. Art Trask won the first match over Ray Shackelford, 228 to 179 with 8 strikes. Gives you an idea of the loneliness being on the approach. Individual sport, if there ever was one. Okay. Though just how important it is to have a clean bowling ball. You see both of them going to that towel and cleaning the ball.
Well, you wanted Clean Chris to take all the oil or conditioner off of it so it doesn't slide too much on the next shot. Plus, that makes it roll very smooth and true, so it'll carry better.
Come on.
All right, like that mixing strike. A little applause at the line by usually a motionless Art Trask, and that was a double that he needed after an open frame in the 4th. So now he'll be shooting in the 7th frame, second game.
A tribute to Trask's concentration and discipline. He made an errant shot in the 4th frame, and he's come right back with a double. He only trails by 2 pins. One more strike, he'll have the lead.
Ready now with his 5-step approach to the line. Stringing them now in his second game in our live telecast from Woodlawn, Maryland. And he has a lead now by 8 pins. We'll be back following to Lumberjacks next on Wide World of Sports. Professional Bowlers Tour in Maryland. Butch Soper, who had the lead, trailing by 8, can regain it. He has a strike-up shooting in the 7th frame. Didn't come up, leaving the 2.
He really wanted that one. It just slid by the head pin. He's playing the inside line on the right-hand lane, the outside line on the left. Having no trouble with the outside line. Can't seem to get zeroed here on the right-hand lane. Butch's only title came here in the Fairlanes Open 1978. He's always been tough in low-scoring tournaments, and this tournament has been one of those tournaments this year.
All right. Winner of this game, our second on the telecast, will meet Pete Couture. The winner of that semifinal game will go against the tournament leader, Earl Anthony, who has a chance today to again go over $100,000 earned on the tour. But right now it is Trask and Soper. 8th frame for Butch. Ten-pin.
Soper cuts right through the heart, almost leaves the 6-7, but gets a good break and breaks it up. He'll have an easy spare here. He's checking the scoreboard on the side to see how far he's down. And the important thing about breaking up that split was he not only didn't drop to 20-some pins behind, but he kept the count close enough that a double will still win the match.
Bowling, a game suited for all sizes. And this is a pretty good example of it in our second match. Trask, 5'9", 175. Soper, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 140 pounds. 3 in a row. 4 in a row.
What a break Trask got there. In a crucial frame where he took a big lead here of 19 pins. Crosses over. Chris, if that had gone through the nose for a split, he would have been behind the breaks of a professional sport. He's got the lead. With another strike here, he'll really have a big lead and have a chance to shut out Butch Soper. Here it is, a crossover. Earl Anthony, that'd be great, over in the 1-2 pocket. But watch how the head pin rolls back, takes out the 5 and the 9. Normally the ball does that job. The ball took out the left side of the pins, the 3, the 2, 4, and the 8.
Re-rack here on the left lane of this championship pair, which had a composite of the 5 bowlers. Another re-rack, 229. Trask 210 and Soper 223. Carefully checking the overhead score sheet. This is the 9th frame with 4 in a row. Ten-pin.
Head pin goes to the sideboard. He almost carries it out as the crowd gives him applause for a really good effort there in a crucial situation. Right now, Art Trask with a conversion would be going at a 2:15 pace. Soper still has room for 2:17. Anything can happen. 2 frames left.
And as everyone can see, he'll be trying to cover a 7-pin. Okay. Warming up Pete Couture of Windsor Locks, Connecticut, who will meet the winner. Then Earl Anthony. Soper with a spare up shooting in the 9th frame. Must strike. Right here. Pesky 4-pin.
Soper by no means is out of it. With this conversion, he'd be with 196 pace. At 3 strikes in the 10th would be 206. He wants this one. It's going high. 4-pin disappointment. Conversion here, he would have 156 in the 8th, spare up in the 9th, a possible 206. He would force Art Trask to mark if he can strike in the 10th here for Soper.
Big difference of winning or losing in any of our matches. Here the loser gets $5,500. The winner gets 1 step closer to the $18,000 championship prize.
Soper really threw that ball well. It was the best shot of the match right when he needed it the most. Goes to the light hit, the wall shot, gets a strike. With a strike here, he will force Art Trask to mark. It's not over yet.
Stretch, Butch Soper doubling now against Art Trask, who had a big error in the 4th and then strung 4.
Good solid hit by Soper. Drives all 10 pins straight back, never a doubt. He's put himself in position where if Trask does not mark, Soper can win the match.
Trask looking at the pin alignment in the right lane. All but one, and for Newport Beach, Californian, Butch Soper, it's a 2:05 here in our second match, and Harry Golden called over. He is the tournament director for all of the 22 years of our telecast. And, Bo, I would think that Art knows what the score is now.
You can believe it, Chris. He got it to this point by throwing a double in the 42nd game, saying he didn't know what the score was. But he knows right now he needs a mark. He's taking that extra re-rack, the 4th re-rack of the match. Any kind of mark will win.
Okay. Notice he started up in the approach, then back to air dry's bowling hand. The final match today will be a left-hander named Earl Anthony. Well, there's that lonely pin in the center, Nelson.
Chris, the crowd oohed and awed. He had the 4-5-7 split standing there for a second. The head pin came across, knocked out the 4 and 7, and left him a very easy spare. He needs to make this, though, to go on to meet Pete Couture in the semifinal.
Looks tiny down there, doesn't it? Ah, very little hook on that shot. There's that mark, Nelson.
Barring a foul or hitting his ankle and going out into the channel, he is the winner. Best possible score would be a 2-14. This has been a tightly contested match. 2 good players, Soper and Trask.
2 Californians. Man from Connecticut is up next, Pete Couture, and then Washington's Anthony. All right, Art Art Trask now, starting in the number 5 position, has won 2 matches, 213 to 205 in his second. So he'll go against right-hander Pete Couture of Connecticut. For the capacity crowd here at Woodlawn Fairlanes outside of Baltimore, Maryland, Art Trask now has won 2 matches, earning the right to go into the semifinal against Pete Couture, the winner to meet Earl Anthony in the finals. So, before the semifinal match gets underway, on the East Coast, duck pin bowling is a very popular form of competition. We hope you have an opportunity to try it. To help you enjoy it, here's Nelson Burton Jr.
The Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
In 1923, when the Fairlanes Corporation built their first bowling center in the Baltimore, Washington area, it was quite a bit different from what we see on the PBA Tour today. The lane was the same, the approach was the same, but it was duck pins back then and not 10 pins. There are 3 big differences. Number 1, the pin. The duck pin weighs approximately 1.5 pounds compared to the 3-pound plus weight used in 10 pins. The ball is 5 inches in diameter compared to the 9 inches in diameter we use on the PBA Tour, and there are no holes in the duck pin ball, which weighs only 3 to 4 pounds. And the third difference is the scoring system. You get 3 shots in duck pins compared to only 2 with 10 pins. Now, all this might seem very simple. Let's take a shot and see what happens. Not a very good result. As you can see, duck pins is much more difficult to score than in bowling pins. So if you're on the East Coast, look up a duck pin center and give it a try. You'll really enjoy it.
Roger Staubach for Rolaids.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
FL football tomorrow on ABC. Today, we're in our 22nd year of the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast, and we're going into match 3. Practicing is Pete Couture, who finished 2nd overall after 42 games, and now he will go against Art Trask in the next to last match. Trask winning 2 games, 228 to Ray Shackelford's 179, then eliminating Butch Soper, 213 to 205. Soper with a check for $5,500. Loser here, $6,600, but the winner has a shot at the $18,000 first prize. And standing in the winner of this match's way will be Earl Anthony, the tournament leader. Trask shooting first, 5 strikes in the last victory. Ten pin on the left.
Last time Art Trask had to have 10, he missed it in the 4th frame of his last match. Went on to put 3 or 4 strikes on behind it, but it definitely opened the door for his opponent. Let's see if he learned anything on that shot. Throw it a little harder in a cross lane.
Applauding on his way back. It's sort of a release, I think, of pressure, nervousness. Now, Couture, 37 years old, 5'8", 140 pounds. Wobbly 7, the man that really cups that ball. Couture of Windsor Locks, Connecticut.
Couture going for the outside line. He's playing the extreme outside line on the right-hand lane. And that looks like the best bet, Chris. 2 weeks in a row, we've seen one lane much more dominant than the other. This week, we've had 13 strikes on the left-hand lane and only 7 on the right-hand lane. The exact same thing happened last week, except it was the right-hand lane that everybody scored well on.
Couture, consistent money earner on the tour. Career total of $341,000. Thus far this year, $23,000, and last year, 16th in the standings with $62,000. 11 years member of the PBA, 4 titles, including a doubles classic title with Tommy Hudson in Las Vegas. And it's a 2-pin on the left lane for Pete Couture, who seems very, very fast.
Look at that outside line to the extreme right-hand part of the lane, coming right at you. He's playing right down the 1st or 2nd board. sends it wide, doesn't get back, has an easy spare, the 2-pin. He'll have an even match through 2 frames.
Art Trask, 3-time winner last year. Imagine that, after 10 winless years on the PBA Tour. Looking for his first win this year. A convincer on the right lane as Earl Anthony warms up. He'll meet the winner of this game.
The first ball that anybody's throwing so far today on the right-hand lane that looked like they knew what they were doing. Trask down the line, played the extreme inside line, very little hook, packed all 10 pins into the pit. If he can hit the right-hand lane, he's going to be very tough.
Oh, it's been an afternoon of re-racks.
A number of them. The players really very studious when they look at the 1, 2, 3, and sometimes when you get low scores, you have a tendency for your eyeballs to tighten up, and that pocket looks smaller. So when they don't feel free about strikes, sometimes the players take extra re-racks. I don't know if it helps or not.
He thought he had that one. Art has an unusual mannerism. Instead of making a 180 turn, Bo, coming back from the line after a shot, he backs up all the way.
Backs all the way away from it, especially when he thinks he throws it real well. Chris, the great Bill Allen, the left-hander who went into the PBA Hall of Fame this year, did that very much. When he needed a strike to win, he'd throw it and never turn around. He'd just walk back and sit down.
Trask with a spare. Mentioning Billy Allen into the PBA Hall of Fame, Harry Golden, whom you saw a little earlier, goes into the meritorious service category of the PBA Hall of Fame. Deservedly so. That one got away at the line, and Pete knew it.
Pete Couture, the last shot we saw like that was Wayne Webb when he came back in the Greater Miami Open down there. Here, Couture's style, 5-step delivery, doesn't quite lock the elbow. Pulls the ball across from the outside. That's the one thing you have to guard against. And look at this ball just running wild. The 1, 3, 6, 9, an unusual spare for a right-hander.
Spaghetti shot. And then to wind up with an open frame. Darn it.
Spaghetti shot is right as Mary Couture looks on. She probably hasn't seen that very often. And what we mean by spaghetti shot, it's like eating spaghetti with a spoon instead of a fork, Chris. You're trying to do it the hard way, so it's tough. Couture trails by 16.
Needs a strike here in the 4th frame. First for Couture in this semifinal matchup, pivotal one. All right, we'll have more of this game from Maryland. We were away. Art Trask doubled. Strike in the 4th, strike in the 5th. We're running late in our allotted 90-minute time slot, and much of it, the great number of re-racks we have had. But nonetheless, Trask with that double leads by 26. He can cut it to 16. Pete Couture, 5th frame, strike up.
Well, just proving it was no fluke in the 3rd frame, Couture leaves the 1, 3, 6, 8. I have never seen this particular spare left by a right-handed bowler in 20 years on the PBT. He just can't control it from that outside line. That's probably the reason that we saw Butch Soper move in after just trying one ball in his last match from that line. Another tough spare.
And again, a lone pin at the back, the 8.
The analogy you can draw with the pros leaving spares like this is that when a ball is over here in this area, it hooks straight through and tries to drive through into this. This particular ball goes straight back and does not carry out the 8-pin. But right-handed bowlers are not used to leaving these shots. See the ball go straight back.
And there goes another one on the left lane. You know, like shanking in golf, this gets to you. It gets snake bit.
You're right. the 1-3-6, Couture has changed balls. He has to change something, change his timing.
Okay. Crowd murmuring at the situation that befell Couture. Sure, it's happened to them, so they could sympathize with him as we get another re-rack, this time on the right side, requested by Art Trask, who now leads by 38, can increase it because he has a double up. Remember, he won the first two matches, 228 to 179, 213 to 205, eliminating Ray Shackelford and Butch Soper. Waiting in the wings, Earl Anthony. Ten-pin.
No doubt about it, Art Trask has figured out the right-hand lane. Nobody has even come close in the first two matches. Trask with the move to the deep inside line was in the pocket in the second frame, in the pocket in the fourth frame, and once again, solid in the pocket. Just leaves the solid 10 here. With a conversion, he would have a 37-pin lead through 6.
Art Trask. And the winner of this game will go against Earl Anthony, who bowls from the left side, and it should be an interesting final match for the championship and 18 grand. For Trask, 7th frame shot. And a 10-pin.
The left-hand lane doesn't hook quite as much, and you see the ball not breaking as sharply as we expected. Leaves the half 10 or weak 10, but Trask is keeping the ball in the pocket. Remember, he's got a 37-pin lead. This is match game play. You just have to win the game. You don't go for a big score.
14th television appearance for Art Trask. He's 1-2. Now he's ahead going against Pete Couture. Couture of Windsor Locks, Connecticut, came up with his second strike in this match in the 7th frame on the right lane. On his next shot, he left the 4-pin. Now he's trying to cover it for a spare. He does so. Earl Anthony will meet the winner of this match for the championship. Art Trask, now leading by 36, shooting in the 8th with a spare up. Like that.
No doubt about it. Trask, with his experience and that inside line, has been able to figure out exactly where to play the right-hand lane, and that's been the difference in the match. Pete Couture got off to a disastrous start in the 3rd frame when he had an errant shot on the right-hand lane. Once again in the 5th frame, an errant shot on the right-hand lane. It's been the downfall of Couture and the uplifting of Trask.
Trask, a 2-time winner. And with 2 wins and doing fairly well here, it should help him against Earl Anthony. Solid.
Chris, thinking ahead, if Trask does go against Anthony, it would help him if he was bowling another right-handed player. But Anthony bowling down the left side, it may be a completely different ball game over there.
And Couture gets his second strike on the right lane. Coming late in the match as we look at Earl Anthony, smooth Earl Anthony.
Couture must strike on this ball, or there's no way for him to win the match, no matter what happens. Couture going at a 172 pace. He has a possible 192. Boy, I bet he wishes he tried that inside line earlier, Chris. That outside line was just his downfall. He has an outside chance with a strike here, only if Trask would happen to foul or throw one in the channel.
dagger for Pete Couture. Yeah, it is a mental game.
Mary could have told him it's easy from back here. It's easy to see the mistakes, and that outside line can be so disastrous when it goes awry. Steady Pete Couture, 4th highest ranked player on the PBA Tour this year on the performance records.
Finishing his first game today with 4 in a row, and he has bowled a 192. Trask with a double up, now shooting in the 10th frame. So Art Trask now has won 3 matches. He'll meet the tournament leader, Earl Anthony. The PBT will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and Station ID.
Frank Gifford, ABC Sports Control in New York. Will be returning the ball.
The all-time Earl Anthony will be seated, while the man that's won 3 matches, shooting 228, 213, and in the last match 227 to Pete Couture's 192. 6 strikes in the last victory, Art Trask. This, the $18,000 and the title. First shot, Trask. And immediate pressure put on the man that's had to wait. Off in the wings, the tournament leader, Earl Anthony, the great left-hander, bowling out of Dublin, California, native of the state of Washington.
Chris, Earl Anthony has bowled Art Trask twice for titles in his lifetime. The first time was in Hawaii. He shot 299 against Trask. The second time was in Fresno. He shot 248 against Trask. So he's got his number.
You see those pins dance off the deck. Earl Anthony, first smooth stroke with a booming strike. Player of the year. And you know, he, at 44 years of age, 6-footer, great condition at 185 pounds, he has a chance today to go over $100,000 earned. It would be his 5th season that he's done it. He did it last year, 134, the previous year, 164,000, and 76 and 75 over the $100,000 mark. And in bowling, that's something.
That's not bad. And no matter what he does, he'll become the #1 player performance in the rating system.
#1 in averages at 219. Holman is second, 215, as we look at Susie.
The form of Earl Anthony starts in the center of the lane. He's playing a medium inside line on the left side, playing between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. As you see, the 2nd arrow on the right, and 3rd arrow just to the left of the ball. Doesn't quite get the finish he likes. 3, 5, 6 spare.
Look at that, in this championship pair averaged 250. All right. Earl Anthony, who sustained a heart attack in 1978, recovered. 9 weeks later, competed in the Waukegan Open. Now, 34-year-old Art Trask, who opened with a strike, now shooting in the 2nd frame of the title game.
Important shot for Trask. We know that Anthony is notoriously a slow starter. Trask would love to get out to a big lead because Anthony will make the hard charge near the end.
Trask continues effective on the right lane. So that double puts him out to a lead. 10 pins.
Statistician Larry Lobb this week has Art Trask going at a 222 average. It's going to take a little more than that to win this championship game.
It's Susie looking over her husband's shoulder. Three wins today for Trask. 3rd frame. Three strikes in a row. Oh, boy. Watch Trask.
What a booming hit this is as Trask comes towards you. Watch that arm swing inside out. He brings it a little bit behind his right hip. Now watch the swing in next to the leg. The good turn, the finest shot he's thrown so far today. He just sawed the 5 right out of there. He has a 20-pin lead.
Third frame for Anthony. Spare up. And some extraneous noises in the crowd broke the concentration of Earl Anthony, who, as a top-seeded player, is 119 and lost 27. A man who has 41 PBA titles. Six-pin. Profile replay.
The familiar profile of Anthony. 5 steps, very methodical, good solid push away, shoulder high, backswing, drives right down through the ball and follow through directly towards the target. That's so important. That's one of the reasons he's so great.
Still a little upset by the noises that broke his concentration as he opened with a strike. Now is marked with 2 spares and is trailing by 21.
Earl Anthony's 172nd lifetime game in the championship round, and over that period of time, he's 89 wins, 82 losses, 220 average. Tremendous record.
Been on our telecast 5 of the last 7 weeks. Imagine. Seven, 8.
Just lost the ball. Bottom of the swing and no lift. We notice how Earl Anthony's ball starts off in a skid, then builds momentum as it heads towards the pins. That time it was just a slide all the way down and a slight pull.
5-2 the odds for a professional. What's happened thus far is causing Earl to talk to himself. Not an easy shot, but beautifully done by the great champion Earl Anthony as he goes against a red-hot Art Trask. More of this championship match after way because we're running way behind. Art Trask with a strike in the 4th, another in the 5th. He has 5 in a row against Earl Anthony.
And no doubt about the strikes that Trask got. Solid in the pocket. He's really got Anthony on the ropes. 43 pin difference, only 4.5 frames bowled.
Livening up the crowd now as Anthony gets his 2nd strike in 5 frames of this championship match, trailing by 43. He's going to have to really string them.
Chris, many athletes are slow starters, and notoriously so, and I wonder what they could really do to improve their fate early in matches. Some people in runners, some in baseball pitchers. What do you really think a player like Anthony could do to get out to stay pretty close in an early match?
Maybe not be the tournament leader, you know? He hasn't done too well from that spot. Now he's knocking them down. But so is this man in the red shirt. 5 in a row coming into the 6th frame now, Nelson.
33 pin lead. Let's see how Trask responds to that unemotional double thrown by Anthony. Anthony is definitely so hard to bowl against, Chris. There's a certain built-in fear of losing to him, and he can put it on you. He's got Trask talking to himself now. Look at all the extra time Trask is taking.
And a re-rack.
Very important, the psychology of match play. Some players just have another player's number. Let's face it, Anthony has been tough on Trask over the years. Art still remembers that.
Nervously waiting for that rack to be set. Must seem like forever.
Big shot to respond to Anthony's aggressive double.
5 in a row. Look at that. Halfway. He can get 6 more. It's a big check from True Value Hardware Stores. Lots of loot, Bo.
50,000 extra dollars, and naturally the title here would be worth 18. That'd be $68,000 in one game.
Harry Golden looking at a request for a re-rack. Checking it out very carefully is Ed Langto of Cotter and Company. True Value probably trembling in Chicago.
The reason sometimes we have so many re-racks is that after we go on the air, a mechanical part may break loose on the machine and set a pin slightly off spot. And when a player sees a tight pocket or closed pocket around the 1-3 area, he doesn't have as good a chance to carry the back pins. That's what the reason Art Trask is asking for a numerous amount of re-racks.
This continues. We're liable to go into This Week with David Brinkley tomorrow on ABC. Good show. I love to watch that program.
Definitely informative and entertaining.
Hey, he's hot. Seven strikes. Since we're in the Washington area, let's congratulate Sam Donaldson, who was married this morning.
Ah, terrific. He ought to be honeymooning out here at the PBA tournament. Anthony will be on a honeymoon if he doesn't get this one.
Oh, no. 5, 7, 10.
Chris, the wide open split not only puts Earl Anthony in jeopardy of losing this match very quickly, but also takes the pressure off of Art Trask as far as winning the match. I think sometimes that's a benefit when you're going for the perfect score. Anthony not taking much time at all.
So the tournament leader, you recall he lost last week in the Greater Hartford Open, finishing second, losing to Tom Milton. We're going to take a break and then return to Maryland. Oh, excuse
my
me.
game, and that's the reason I'll check with her every once in a while. She can spot some things that I have problem with an arm swing or something like that. If I hit the ball a little bit too far away from my body, if I'm a little fast to the foul line or something like that. Basic fundamental things that can help me make a major adjustment and get myself back on track very quickly.
My prelude should have been to that answer, how his wife, Susie, helps him during a match.
Right now, there is no help for Earl Anthony. The best he can do is 222. Only a complete collapse by Trask would give Anthony any chance. But as we see, Trask is perfect through 7.
Big 8. More. Art Trask finished 5th. He has 3 victories, 228, a 213, and a 227. He had a total of 19 strikes coming into this championship match against Anthony, and now he has 8 in a row. And does that ball get heavy? Again, a re-rack request.
Harry Golden says it looks good, but of course Harry Golden does have 8 in a row and 50,000 riding on this shot. The last perfect game was rolled in 1974 at the Alameda Open by Jim Stepney. It's been almost 10 years.
9th frame. Three to go. And we've had 3 perfect games on our ABC telecast. And I missed all 3 because of other assignments. So, well, it's going to happen. I hope it is today. Anthony shooting.
Just getting out of the way. Anthony will try to bowl as quickly as possible to let Art Trask up there to finish out the match. Anthony knows he can't win, and being the great gentleman he is, here's Trask's reaction to number 9. Don't be a 10-pin. Don't be a 10-pin.
Oh, yes.
There it is.
And Anthony today will pull up about $2,500 short of having earned $100,000 this year. Whereas Art Trask had earned $14,000 coming into this, looking for his first win this year.
Earl, a possible 202, will get the 10th frame out as quickly as possible and take some of the pressure off of Art Trask.
Trask, a True Value Open winner last year in Peoria.
He likes their money, doesn't he, Chris?
Most unusual championship game. And remember, don't go away, because Art Trask has 9 strikes in a row.
The The first perfect game rolled on ABC was Jack Biondolillo at the Firestone Tournament Champions. The second by Johnny Gunther out in California. The last 300 was rolled in 1974 by Jim Stefanich, but nobody has ever rolled a perfect game in the championship match. Those were all in the early preliminary matches. Trask has a chance to be the first man in bowling history to do such right now.
And Anthony finishing with 3 strikes in a row, but what can you say? A 202 is not enough in the Fairlanes Open. So Trask with a victory, 18,000, Earl 9,500, but more important right now, 10th frame. There it is. 7-10. And Anthony is first up to congratulate him on his performance. Now a standing ovation for a man who strung 9 and then came this close to making it 10 in a row with only 2 more for that 50 grand. Art Trask. 4 big wins today, Bo. Quite a performance for this man from Fresno, California. Anthony, as we told you, the 202. Trask will be in the 270s and will return, but first, this message. In the 10th frame. Darn it.
Yeah, Chris, I'll tell you, it's last year I had the first 8 in a row on TV, and at that time I don't really remember throwing the 9th shot. This time the ball was so heavy I didn't think it was going to get down there, but actually I threw it too hard.
Too hard. So it wasn't heavier as most of us think.
Oh, it was definitely heavier.
Here's a heavy check from Wally Hall, president of Fairlanes.
Let me present this check for $18,000 to you. I'm sorry it's not $50,000 as you would have got if you'd have rolled the 300, but it was a great game and a great day of bowling, and on behalf of the friendly folks of Fairlanes, congratulations, and we hope to see you back again next year, Art.
And Archer, 1 step closer. They had 8 last year, 9 in a row this year. It'll happen. See you later.
Thank you, Chris.
Art Trask, the big winner here in the Fairlanes Open at 275 to Earl Anthony's 202. Final score again, 275 to 202, and a reminder that coming up next, ABC's Wide World of Sports featuring the United States Grand Prix Motocross Motorcycle Championship from Carlsbad, California, the World Lumberjack Championships from Hayward, Wisconsin, and the World Short Track Speed Skating Championships from Tokyo, Japan. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United